pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, Marion County Commission meeting, Monday, July 14th, 2025, 12:30 p.m. Start off with public forum. Anybody from the public got anything to say? Everybody online. So close public forum. Move on to the agenda approval. Is there anything needs to be added?
I need a personnel performance session. Yep.
Another executive right there. Anything else? Agenda is approved. Administrative business. Ashley.
Alright, we got the minutes of July 7th.
Had a chance to read the minutes. Motion to approve. Moved by Kent, second by Dave. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. 5-0. The tab.
Okay, then we have some change orders.
Are there any extras that weren't in the packet?
Nope.
Okay.
Then we have early checks in the amount of $63,811.20.
I got any questions with the warrants? If not, is there a motion to approve? Moved. Clerk moved. I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.
And that's all I have.
Looks like the handoff.
Yeah.
Just watch the screen and know where we are.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. In your packet, you do have, I believe, the final invoice for Nelson Falls for the health department, which has been approved by the architect. We did have a cost like a reduction on the actual contract amount. We took the sign off of that, and then you'll remember that you authorized the work on the additional HVAC for the vaccine room, which is not part of this agreement. That's just our separate, a separate cost for us.
Any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve application number 11 for the current payment due of $7,714.14.
I'll second that.
Second by Dave.
One last question. Do we know how much actually came out of the general fund then to complete that project?
No, the only money that we took out of the general fund was that interest, additional interest that we received that was not budgeted that you put into that. So I can give you the updated breakdown next week about where it all came from, but there was no.
Okay, because didn't we have 900,000 in COVID funds that went into that?
Yes, over, I believe.
I'd just like to know where the rest of it came from.
Okay, I'll give that, you the updated one again. Primarily the balance, we did have some other grants, and then the last of it was from the wind farm proceeds.
I guess my question earlier to the commission is whether we would consider a partial lease purchase on those funds that were not COVID funds. I mean, it can be for discussion later, but I brought it up earlier. So that you'd be looking at 600,000, something like that.
Part of it was interest earned, wasn't it? You put that there.
I'll put that on for next week.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Stuck on my constable.
That's all right. I could wait. Some days it's me.
Just under the line or on top of that line.
Running that late.
That was what I had on administrative.
Early in the month for outside board reports, somebody's got one.
Okay. I didn't have time to number these or staple them or anything, so let me see if I can.
Much different from last week.
Well, what I did, I was asked to provide, let's start with the documents that you already have. I was asked to provide a couple different summaries. So the first one is this colorful one. That shows the difference on valuation for the last, I did the current year and 2 previous years. So the current valuation includes $123,720,029, and real estate of that, the new improvements are shown there, the amount that's new improvements. And then we had $60,446,000 in state assessed utilities, and then severed minerals, personal property, oil and gas, and then the total. So you all see that's all broken out there. And then the previous year is kind of in the middle of the sheet there, 24 to 25. So the total valuation last year when we were preparing the budget was 181,123,513. And so I've broken that out by the different types the same way. So you can see where the differences are. So primarily, the primary increase was in real estate this year. And of the total improvements, there was an increase between this year and last year of the 530,816. State assessed also increased. We basically had a decrease in oil and gas and a decrease in severed minerals. Does everybody see that? And then the prior year, I've got the valuation broken out by all of the different types as well, and the valuation in 2023 to fund the 2024 budget was 173,778,039. Does that help with what you were wanting to know? Okay. So it looks, somewhat similar. We did have a pretty large increase in personal property the prior time, but not this time. So then I've also given you some sheets that have a lot of numbers on them. So the one is labeled unencumbered cash balance at the top. That is the ending cash balance of all the different funds over the last 10 years. And it does go up and down some depending on projects that we do and different things like that. If you look at the sheet, the chart that I gave you, the black chart that says ending cash on it, I tracked on this one just the 4 largest funds that are not, I didn't do building projects or capital projects, anything like that. So you have the blue is the general fund, the ambulance fund, employee benefits, and then road and bridge are the funds that are shown on here. And then the grand total is a blue line at the top. And overall, our cash ebbs and flows a little bit over time because we'll have money come in for a project, or we'll save up money in the capital improvement fund to do a road and then we spend it. Or we had a bond that came in, or we had a grant, or ARPA funds, all those different things. So, but if you look at kind of our main big funds, those ones have stayed, the general fund and road and bridge have kind of, they all kind of stay in that same sort of range as far as the ending cash. The other page that you have with a lot of numbers on it, it says expenditures at the top. So what I've done on here is I tracked all the expenditures for the last 10 years of all the different funds. And then I've also shown that on the last 5 years for those same 4 funds on the other black chart. So basically, the reason I'm giving kind of this information to you is because of just to know how you want to handle cash carryover, because we have had you tasked me with trying to go as close to revenue neutral as I can, and that's fine. But then if you let me just you know that our advice from Scott Lloyd has been 3 to 6 months of operating. So what I did for every fund is I went through and I took the last 5 years of expenditures and I got the average of that. And then I figured out what it takes to operate each one of those funds for a month, and 3 months and 6 months. And I can tell you I didn't even put any 6-month numbers in here whatsoever. So then what I did as far as the budget preparation is I went in and I checked the revenues in all of the tax levied funds to make sure that what we budgeted, like if we have more revenue that has come in than what we budgeted, then I tried to adjust some of those numbers to help us with our carryover for next year. Also, I have not been able to go through and I did look at the percentages as far as expenditures mid-year for all the different funds to kind of see where everyone is. And then on next year, I put in the budgets that were presented, but then I added on each sheet, I put a cash carryover of 3 months. And if we have, which I know we won't be able to do. So 3 months on all these different funds. Some funds can handle that. There's some of our smaller funds have enough money in them to be able to do that. But the majority would not. So if we looked at 3 months worth of expenditures as carryover or to be able to fund ongoing projects or new projects, then it would take a mill levy of over 90 mills to do that, which I know is not the direction that we need to go. So that is the evaluation that I have done so far on the budgets. So
Appreciate it. That was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But, I remember when I started in 2016, we were just about at a cash crisis. I guess that's why it hammered those so much.
yeah, right. And you can see the on the chart, we did have a lot of expenses, the thin blue line there in 2024, but we also had big road projects and we had the building project that we were doing that related into that. So, and that would be all funds, so. I also did some more evaluation and breakdown of the health department specifically, which I don't have all of these papers to give to you. But I went ahead and I looked at the rent, what we would be paying in rent for a year versus, and utilities, but most of our utilities were not separated at that time. So then I went through and looked at what we're paying now for utilities and communications like internet and phones. So trying to compare those. And it looks like we actually are, when I annualize that, we should come out a little bit better than we did by paying rent, but by about $2,000 a year right now. So, and that's with very little information because we haven't really gotten the bills for the hotter months or anything like that. So it should be either a wash or a little bit less expensive to operate than a new facility. Just facility-wise, not necessarily, you don't consider, staffing or programs or things like that. So.
Would be cool.
Another challenge that we're gonna have. I just wanna give you all kinds of good news today. I'm sure you're gonna be excited. Another really good way to share this. I'm gonna go ahead and just send you the current inputs that I have, because I have notes on it and it has color. When I print it, it doesn't do that. I have to write notes on it and it's, it's really kind of difficult to go through and talk about it all and have you see everything, so. So one thing to keep in mind while I'm looking for this file is that today, or at least by Friday, we need to notify Ashley whether we're gonna exceed revenue neutral or not. And if we are going to, what our maximum rate is gonna be. You can always pull back as we go through the budget process, but you can't increase above what you say. And so there is still time to develop and break all this down a little bit more, or a lot more. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that is a possibility. Does anybody have questions about the information that I already gave you or that I reviewed already?
So in the packet, you got the general fund. And it shows, I know it's always a
Oh,
conservative.
those are revenue reports?
Yeah. I know it's always a conservative budgeting. If you're at a $2.6 million surplus on unrealized revenue, does that mean just taking in more than predicted?
No, hold on. Actually, I haven't looked real in depth at that particular report.
What page are you on?
It's on the clerk's revenue reports.
What page?
Page 2. 2 would be the totals. 1 would be the page 4 of the packet.
Is this one you're looking at?
Yeah, it'd be the totals, yeah.
Just for the
Bottom
general?
line there.
And one thing to keep in mind too. Ashley, do you want to talk about that report?
I giggle.
That's okay.
Actual as percentage.
That's a report provided by the clerk's office.
Yeah.
And so, can you just make it up a little bit? Look at my glasses. Sorry. So the way that the report works, here we go, is, so it shows the total estimated revenue, and that's what is manually keyed into the budgets. And then the actual to date, and then the year to date over. So this does appear to be a revenue surplus, but the clerk's office does not enter the tax revenue. So it is actually not a surplus. They don't enter in every fund what the estimated tax revenue is gonna be. So it's a better way to get that information is by the a budget activity report that will show the
From an expense.
income and expense both, yeah. So, I'm really sorry this is taking a minute to try to get this file to you, but I wanted to. Okay.
So much easier to read a P&L.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, government accounting is fun. Let's try this. Okay, finally got it.
Well, balance sheet.
So we do show that, like, the financial statement that you got a couple weeks ago has all of that information in it for last year, and then, so I just sent you like a spreadsheet. I sent it to you too, but I don't know if you'll be able to open yours. I'm gonna just open the file on my computer so you can look at mine, Ashley. So put it up here, if that's okay. If you can, I don't know. That will be. Okay. So this is version 2 inputs basically, and there are a bunch of tabs at the bottom. Was everybody able to open it, and do you see all the tabs?
General.
Yeah, and then I could send paper. Does anybody want paper right now?
Receipts.
Nobody said they want paper. So if you look at the beginning here, the tab that has the general on it. Not the general detail, but just the general overall. Does everybody have that page?
Page.
It says general on the tab.
On the Excel.
Oh.
On the Excel.
Okay, this might not be a very good way to lead you through this either. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So at the, on what Ashley has up on the screen, which is also the file I just sent you that has the general fund. If we go up towards the top, you see some blue and kind of purple color. So I've updated some of the revenues. We know we budgeted 30,000 on revenue on interest and penalty on taxes, and we've already received about just under 60,000. So I know we're gonna at least receive 60,000. So I update the middle column to reflect what we know. The special auto closeout, that is something that we're supposed to receive every year, but we haven't received it for the past few years. And so we generally budget that in at 30,000 of anticipated revenue, but last year we had a 0 there. So I don't know if we'll receive that or not.
Is that anything by statute?
Yes, there is a statute that governs that, but there's also I think that they're just trying to work out what the actual amount is supposed to be. So at the bottom of that middle column, interest on idle funds, we budgeted 300,000. I know we're gonna receive at least 400,000 this year. So I've increased that a little bit, so on the revenues. All the other revenues that I was able to look at seem to be on target. And if we go down to the bottom of this page, the little note I put there, I entered 3 months of operating expenses there as a cash carryover amount. And then if you look down a little bit further, the red dollars, that shows the prior year, what we what the tax was in the general fund. And so to be able to generate 3 months of cash carryover, the increase to the general fund as it is right today is $1,247,971. So that is actually how much more taxes it would take to fund cash carryover. So obviously, we're not gonna do that, but I just wanted you all to see the numbers. If we go to the general detail tab, which is the next one over, this shows all the different funds, departments within the general fund and their prior actuals, a current estimate, and then next year's budget request. And all of these numbers aren't completely 100% updated, but most of them are. If you go all the way down to the blue, where it says projects and multipurpose building on the, right there. So this is one area that we carry cash generally typically in the general fund. So we budget for projects, and then last year or the year before, we started budgeting for future improvements. So we will spend, I know, a portion of this $500,000 this year for the multipurpose building, but I took the $500,000 out of the middle column for future projects, and I did not add to it. I just moved it over to the next year. So that right there is basically cash that is available if we don't do a future project. So that would be a portion of that cash carryover I'm talking about, if that makes sense. And then the rest of these are, so there's one area on where I was hoping to break out the technology piece a little bit better within the general fund. So if you go up above the blue, you can see where it says technology and facilities. We have never really broken that out before this way. We've lumped everything together in one account line item, and it's really hard to track what we're spending on technology. And so
department that way then, or?
No, this is, we have a fund in the general, an account line item within the general fund that currently is called courthouse computer equipment, but we pay a lot of things out of it. It's not just equipment. We pay services out of there, IT service. We pay subscriptions, which like now all of us are on Office 365. We pay for our security components out of there. There's like all kinds of things that we've just been paying out of there, and we always overspend it, and we're not tracking it very well. And so I didn't increase any of the numbers at this point, but I did want to at least kind of split things out so that I can do a better job figuring out what we're spending money on technology wise, and gain a little bit more control over that. So, and then the same thing with facilities. Right now we just have courthouse, and then we're not tracking anything on any other facilities. The contractual line item on this particular thing is basically anything that, the way we do it right now is anything that's not otherwise classified. So we have one line item that's courthouse contractual, but it's really to do with many more facilities than just the courthouse. It's just, it's expenses like general fund department insurance. It's expenses like utilities and all kinds of things. The cleaning contract, all of that is kind of lumped together right now. So this is just kind of expanding how we're tracking that. And then right now, departments that have their own funds are paying and budgeting for utilities out of their own funds. So it kind of makes it hard to know operation-wise, and what is the cost of the facility versus the cost of the actual work that they're doing. So at some point in the future, we want to have the discussion about how we want to reflect those, so.
Can't, on the general details, what is this, second page? Page 60, shows you the sunflower or Diamond Vista to Health Capital.
Yeah.
Since that was a topic you brought up earlier.
60, it was on
Right,
transfers,
right there.
yeah. So
It shows
the
257.
The actual amount in 2024 that we transferred from Diamond Vista for the health department project was $257,855. This middle column is an estimate, so. But it's pretty close to that, I think. And then we won't be doing, obviously that won't be there for next year, so. So the general fund is one that we're gonna have to make some decisions on as far as what do you want the cash carryover to be. If we don't increase it at all, you'll have about, 300,000 cash carryover, and that in the general fund. If I have that, right?
Cash reserve, cash.
Yeah. So even if I did like 800, if we did 300,000, technically you'd have 800 because you have that money in that project line, future improvement line. But there also will be improvements needed on the building.
That's not even close to 1 month's operating.
Right. Okay, if we go to debt service, that is where we pay our road bond from. So if you click on that tab, we know what our payments are, and this fund is in decent shape. So, and we have a little bit of reserve there, and that's appropriate. The next tab is road and bridge, another big one. And on this one, if you look at the very bottom line here, on the first page, I've got the 3 months estimate cash carryover is 1.318 million. And so that would be like a 1.7 million increase if we find at that level. We're hoping that we're gonna, but I don't know for sure. We have applied for some FEMA reimbursement for the freezing and thawing that happened. And so I don't know if we'll get that or not. Yeah, we aren't. I didn't put it in here as a
It may not
funding.
even exist here.
Right. So anyway, on this, if you look at the next tab, which is the road and bridge detail, and if you look towards the bottom, there's quite a few blue things here. But I put, if you look at the building projects, like in the middle column, I have the bridge construction 80/20 line item. We did spend some money out of there this year, or in 2024 for a bridge replacement. I don't know yet if we're gonna be spending this 400,000 or an amount of that this year. And then the road and bridge building, that we don't really know what the cost of that is, but a part of the new building that we're building in Peabody or near Peabody would come out of this line item. And then we've been trying to save up 2 million here to do a new road and bridge shop, because this one is here in town is too small for the modern equipment. So those two lines of the 400 and 500,000, we may be able to carry over a portion of that. And that's technically cash right now too. Okay. we did budget 600,000 in fuel. We're doing really well on fuel in the current year, but I didn't feel comfortable reducing that expenditure very much. I just put it at 550 for the current year estimate. And then below that, you see the transfers to special equipment. We do have 500,000 budgeted this year, and I put 500 in for next year. If you decide not to do those transfers, then you are saving that money, but then also you still haven't addressed the equipment needs that we have. So there are areas to find money within the budgets. It's just a matter of how you want to do that. And if you want to consider, something to keep in mind also is these transfers to special equipment, that's cash. If we don't need to spend it, we can, and we get to where we need more money back in Road and Bridge, we can transfer that back. So. On gravel, do y'all want to just go through the whole Road and Bridge fund? Would that be helpful, or? I don't know what you want the discussion to be or how you want to go through this.
Pretty well put a lot of things to note in blue.
Right.
Being on the weather,
Huh?
being on the weather.
Blue is usually safe in the weather. It's green, yellow, and red. It makes you nervous.
Okay. Does anybody have questions about anything so far?
Not so far. I don't have anything.
Okay. Let's go to the next tab. At the top of the tab, you'll have the ambulance fund. And this one's a kind of a big one. So the very top is the revenue, and you see in 2024, the actual service fees, we had 670,396 that came in. We try to budget conservatively. We've budgeted 640,000 for this year and next year. Well, potentially for next year. Our revenue this year is not looking quite this strong so far, but hopefully it'll get to the mark where we have, hopefully can surpass what we budgeted. On the salaries, I reduced the middle column salaries because we have been short-staffed. It was, I think, 1.4, 1.377, something like that. And so I feel pretty comfortable that that number would cover the salaries for the current year. And next year, the difference is adding the staffing for the Peabody station. Now, you could always decide not to increase it that much and try to look at reallocating some staff. You have in the next blue section here, typically what we do in these funds, we try to save for vehicles in the past. So we would put 30,000 in one year. We have a goal that we're trying to save up to 60,000, and you can see that on where it says director vehicle replacement, 60,000 on the left. So if we don't, on the years that we're saving, we don't spend out of that, and we just add it to the next year. So this year we won't be buying a director vehicle. So we would typically put that 60,000 in the next year.
Roll that to zero and move it to the cash carryover. I know you're.
Well, we are gonna need to put some money in because we are replacing one through fleet. So we can put a smaller amount and transfer into the fund where we're gonna be saving for the fleet vehicles. So this particular one, we could put a zero in the middle column.
You're still gonna have to pick it up somewhere.
Right, and then we also they have 3 SUVs right now. The director, supervisor, and then there's a really old one that's like got 140-some thousand miles on it. It's a 2001, I think. It's a pretty old vehicle that is being used for first response for Gossel area. And so these I would anticipate and hope that we could utilize fleet for the director vehicle and then potentially hand those others down and get rid of the oldest one. So One other thing I was trying to do as I was going through looking at the 3-month carryover, I was also trying to look at what vehicles each department has and try to see what years they need to be replaced and approximate costs on those things, so. Okay, here's another area, the ambulance building / remodel new. We have budgeted this year 300,000. We put 50,000 in for next year, but again, we don't know what that new building is gonna cost. So I didn't know what numbers to put there, I kind of left that alone, but those could change somewhat. And then there's the 35,000 transfer to rescue equipment. Last year, we set up the rescue equipment fund instead of just paying those out of the ambulance fund. And they had requested and we budgeted 35,000, so that'll be transferred into their account, that account to be able to save for the rescue equipment and then also make the lease purchase payment on the equipment we bought last year. So I've got 35,000 in each year for that, so. And then I put in the 350,000 carryover, which that is not. So that's also an increase, but it's primarily, you can see the increases in the salary area. So. Appraisers fund is right below this one on the same tab. This one, I did reduce the salaries in the current column, in the middle column, because we were not fully staffed for the whole year. And then I moved over the vehicle savings, and we are doing one fleet vehicle for appraiser this year. So they're in decent shape. You know, we have 3 months, but with a $15,000 increase, so we could reduce that and still be really pretty comfortable with the cash carryover in that fund. So it goes. Most of them are kind of like that. The Department on Aging is the next one. We're not buying a vehicle this year. We would be budgeting 35,000 for a vehicle savings. It's been our typical method. Their cash reserves for 3 months would be 29,000. We do have an increase on the North Central Flint Hills Area Agency on Aging. They actually have asked us for $66,715. We generally don't budget the full request because it depends on how many staff they have. And so we put I put 45,000 in here. I know we will, if we run short there, that would have to be covered by the general fund because we would be obligated to pay the insurance for their employees. So, but we haven't typically budgeted out of this fund because whatever you levy in one fund, you can only use for that fund. So. Election fund is in good shape, but I wouldn't recommend reducing it.
We'll wait till Ashley's out of the room.
No. So I have not figured employee benefits yet. And then in the bottom of this one, we have the noxious weed. We budgeted 40,000 revenue from chemicals, and I'm pretty confident we'll meet the 65,000. So I bumped the revenue up on this one, and reduced the salaries a little bit because of just the current trajectory there. And this fund also has sufficient carryover. So you could potentially levy a little bit less in this fund and apply that levy to another fund, but it wouldn't make a huge dent.
And plus, there's gonna be some more noxious weed issues coming down the road because I don't know if you guys have heard of phragmites. Phragmites.
I heard of the fragmites.
They've invaded Marion County now. And
Sounds
they
like a
have,
snipe.
they have now. They're very, very hard to treat.
No.
I hear a lot about the screw.
Oh, yeah.
That's cows.
That's not weed.
Okay. So the next tab that we have is the health department. And this one, and I don't know how long we want to spend, but this one, we know already that some of the grant funding in this current year is reduced. So some of these blue amounts, or these blue things in the middle here. The preparedness grant we know has been reduced in the current year. Next year, it's potentially reduced or it may actually be eliminated. And so that grant funds a portion of Dan's salary, the assistant emergency
10
management.
hours a week.
Yeah. And so I would suspect that those duties would then shift over from health potentially to emergency management. So the WIC grant has been reduced by about $20,000 a year. In 2026, this CDDR grant may go away. We don't know yet. And then the workforce development grant, we have spent the majority of that, but a portion of what's not spent yet may decrease for next year. And I believe that Safe Kids is going to be reduced or eliminated. I did go ahead and make an adjustment in the middle column on a couple of these items. The salaries are reduced slightly, and I don't remember what I did on contractual. One thing that I have in here is capital outlay. That might be some money that could be reduced out of the current year. I need to check in with Krista. I know there's some computers that need to be replaced, but other than that, I don't know that they have plans for that right now. And Krista's already been, going over and trying different scenarios as far as what kind of a service model it might be if we do lose more of the grant funding. So, and then we have the cash carryover based on previous years would be $107,000 for 3 months, which is would be a pretty big increase there if we put that in there. So. Solid waste fund, that's the fund that we pay household hazardous waste out of, and we take care of the landfill expenditures from that fund, and that fund is doing fine. There is a request, right now, you might remember that the Quails Forever is doing the land management out there for us at the landfill. They're wanting to do prescribed burn to help with some of the vegetation, and so I'll be looking at bringing you what that cost would be for that. They are gonna ask for a partnership, I think, with us on taking care of that vegetation out there. So I should hopefully have something on that by next week, but that should fit within the budget still.
Plan on doing a fall burn?
They wanna, well, I don't know, I haven't talked to them at all, but I know it needs to be done at the right time to be able to have some vegetation coming back for the hunting, so.
They might be trying to do an August pop.
I think it might be pretty quick if they wanna do something.
Sometimes it gets rid of your invasive species by popping the seeds in August.
Teresa.
So anyway, that one is in decent shape right now. And the next tab is Park and Lake. So we had 50,000 in the current year for a superintendent garage. I don't know if that's still something that you're wanting to try to spend on. I actually removed that temporarily because of the cash carryover here as well. So we do have, I think, he has some capital outlay projects planned. And then next year, I know so some of the projects that are planned are potentially another utility upgrade for electrical, and then new flooring, like redo the floors in the lake hall and tables, chairs, and appliances there. And we did the building this year. We did a utility upgrade also, so it's just a matter of kind of what direction you want to go with it. And we have, whatever is brought in by the bait shop, those kind of things are also, those, now that the park fund has been paid back for the startup, any proceeds that come out of the bait shop are designated for lake improvements. So we can we can spend it out of there for that. There's not a lot built up yet, but. So if you decide that you want to try to do some other projects, then we're gonna have to consider, looking at our rates, and then also looking at, whether there is a levy increase in that fund. Special bridge, that's where we pay for culverts and the culvert crew salaries, things like that, and that fund is okay. I do believe we are gonna use the entire budget this year for culverts, so. And those are actually all of the levied funds. The rest of the funds are not funded by tax dollars, and so these are the ones to start on, because these are the ones that are gonna make a difference on whether you are revenue neutral or not. So.
Noxious weed, capital outlays.
That's funded by a transfer from the noxious weed fund. And we buy like the spray truck out of there.
Just looking at the one line, it says capital outlay going from $6,000 to $3,000 to $47,000.
I'm sorry, going back to the noxious weed department.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know if projected to buy a sprayer or something.
Oh, you want, sorry. What's your question?
Oh, I was just looking at the increase from.
So that's one of those funds that we save money in. So every year we put money in it and we save money until it's time to buy a piece of equipment.
Okay.
So this year, that $3,145 has already been spent, and that was on a software upgrade, like for the spray truck. And then the amount, we just carry it over because that gives us the maximum budget authority and most flexibility to spend out of it for the next year. So if he spends something else out of there this year, then what we can spend next year would go down. But he is looking at a new spray truck in the next year or two. So that's where we save for that right now.
Alright.
And then, so all of this, the register deed tags, the sheriff drugs, special alcohol, all those other things are all funds that are either from transfers or from fees or, they're not tax funds. And I have not evaluated cash balances in those funds. The transfer station fund is also not a levied fund. It's funded by service fees and the solid waste assessment fee. And so I haven't spent a lot of time on that one yet, but that one's gonna need some work too. So. So I know we wanted the levy to, I have not gone down at this point.
Transfer station. Are we done? I'm looking for debt services.
You're looking for what?
The transfer station? Debt service?
It's paid for.
It's not paid for, no. We're paying,
It was a 10-year.
it's $148,000 a year. And it was a lease purchase. So if you go back to the left on your tabs, there's the debt schedule is in here. And so you can see where it says debt and then LP form. LP form shows all the lease purchases that we have right now. And so the transfer station, that is, we are paying that payment out of the transfer station fund right now, and we have been. And that's $148,000 a year. And it is,
Oh, I'm missing.
10 years.
Oh, it's in the transfer station.
No, that's wrong. It's 15 years, I think.
Is there 4 or 5 years left on that?
No. I think it's 15 years, Kent.
That was a 15-year? Okay, I was thinking 10.
Doesn't matter, it started in 2020, so
Yeah.
even if it was 10, it'd still be a 5-year left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably 10 years left.
So anyway, a lot of the previous lease purchases that we had have dropped off for equipment. So we have 2 more that'll pay off this year. And we'll have the transfer station. We've got a couple of lease purchases on graders right now. The Ford Explorer for the health department. And then we just did 2 new ones this year. One of them is for the rescue equipment. And the other one is for the transfer station for the backhoe. And so those payments will start next year. And then I have not, you had talked about doing one for the road and bridge purchase that we made this year, but I have not pursued that yet. And then we do have just one bond payment, one bond right now, that's on your debt tab. And that is a general obligation bond for the roads that we did in 2022. And that was $5 million, and our interest and principal are shown there. And we pay that out of our bond and interest or debt service fund. And we we levy for that. It's just a little bit over 3 mils.
Have to notify by Friday.
Yep. Well, by the 20th. Sunday.
It's no special holiday, it carries you over,
No,
like tax day
No.
falls.
no. I don't know what kind of feedback you have or on it.
Where's everybody at? We're gonna have to call a special meeting.
I'm at revenue neutral, but, you know, it's very easy to see
It's
why we've been that way for several years. We're riding this wave of increased assessed valuation. And probably a good question to Nikki, but I would hope she would keep the commission informed. I know she doesn't know exactly what's going on, but that's gonna flatten out at some point.
It should be starting to flatten out.
Ag land has somewhat, if this starts flattening out, we won't be sitting here talking about revenue neutral.
Well, it'll be, it's just because the evaluation goes down, then.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some things coming down the road. I mean, in several years, Diamond Fist will come on.
Yeah.
Which will be
Oh, you mean
another-
as a public as a
Probably the same as the pilot after depreciation.
But, I mean, the way that they've assessed these real estate values
It's just getting it closer to actual, and as long as we do our part on it.
getting closer to actual. It's way over actual on some.
There's a lot of people that still wouldn't sell their house for what it's appraised for at the county.
I've got one that I'd sell. Anyway, it's just something, and the commission needs to stay apprised about, because
As long as we
I
do,
don't think it'll happen overnight, but it's gonna sneak up on you.
as long as we don't allow the mills to get out of line. It's not everything, but it does keep things balanced. Yeah, I'm for another year. I know we're pinching stuff, but revenue neutral.
So that, just to be clear, revenue neutral would be a 3 mil decrease, almost 3.1 mil decrease.
I mean,
Decrease.
looking at this chart, you've got a $5 million increase in, from 24, 25 to 25, 26 in the real estate. You went from 117 to 122, that's $6.2 million. 1.23 million was new assessment. So you're talking about an increase in $5 million in the assessment of existing real estate. And I mean, I don't know what that, I know what it breaks down for me. And my house didn't appreciate that much, I don't think. So I'm at revenue neutral. You know, if it was, you know, I think, yeah, this time I'm at revenue neutral for this year. I mean, we've got increases in utility assessments, and I'm assuming that all that's assessed by the state, that's not. So we're gonna see increases in that. You know, the only thing we're gonna see a decrease in is the oil and gas, which that's been going on for a while.
Okay, so
property. Next year, we're gonna see a decrease in that, but just because of the rule changes, and we can address that next year, so.
You gotta say, Tina.
I don't wanna jump in yet, I'm gonna wait for all of your feedback first.
Dave, Mike.
Neutral.
Okay. But, alright, Mike kinda gave the one way or the other.
I just seem split it. I think we're gonna need more money, especially for our roads this coming year. As FEMA comes through with $2 billion.
Sure.
That's where my concern will come from. We're losing ground on keeping our roads where we can get down. Especially after the spring again, just hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage if we're gonna fix them, and if we're not gonna fix them, then they'll continue to get worse as we go.
I know only state revenue is so long with expenses, employee payrolls, and everything going up. Nothing ever goes down. Trying to hold on to it here.
So there'll be questions then about how you'll wanna pay for buildings and different things, and if you, you know, you may have to defer
And that was,
some projects.
everybody else making cuts, so. Maybe that's the time to entertain you, purchase stuff instead,
Well, I'm.
instead of cashing out.
Yeah. Favor of lease purchases because the value of having cash available to buy things outweighs a lot of things. Trying to finance something later,
So,
use of money.
okay. I'm gonna bring one of those forms in here, so I'll just go get it in a little bit. All right, is there anything else that,
You want us to move forward with that today?
yep, but there's a form for you to, it's a roll call vote, and then there's a form for you to fill out, so, I'll get that, I didn't bring it with me, so. Any other comments or feedback before we move on to the next thing?
We can only control the county.
Okay.
County mill levy.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll bring it back a little bit later for you to actually take the action.
Alright. Thanks for putting all that together though.
Sure.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Alright, Brad.
Today, he hasn't sent it yet, and I'm not sure he was going to without going through their legal counsel. Dave Sherwood, I had a conversation with him on the issues with the lights. If I could encapsulate this, I think he and Sharon have had ongoing contact, and he is preparing, and I've asked him to improve on that as well. Much more of a current update on what they're doing. He said not all, you've witnessed them, he said not all of them were malfunctioning, that's what I'm told.
Most of them are though. There's
He said that they had 8 I'm using the right terminology because we did this all 8 modules that had malfunctioned, so there were at least 8 of those units that he didn't disagree. They also had some software issues. All of this, they have been working actually since February, but of late with TRW on all of that. Said usually by the time they go through, isolate what the issues are and get it done, it's 2 to 3 weeks for a fix or a remedy. They installed certain things on July the 3rd to improve some of the performance and reinstate the use of, or the ability for some of those systems to work correctly. He has a map that I still don't have, but they were sending with a complete itemization and showing each one graphically represented as to what isn't working, what is, and the timeframes and what they've done to repair them. 8 of those modules are supposed to be here this next week to fix 8 of them that are malfunctioning, that he doesn't argue at all are malfunctioning. And then they're also doing an additional software update because they're having issues across the board with some of them that they are doing as well. Anyway, his proposal was not necessarily to appear here and go through all that, but provide it all in writing. I said, I don't know that I have an objection to that, because I said that's something I can provide to the commission, to the board. And then if there are questions or a need to have them actually here to explain something, that would be fine. The intent was, he said he had basically all of that done. If he were he was planning on sharing that or sending it to Sharon. If I wanted it, which I requested, he wanted to run it past their legal counsel first. I guess since I'm the county counselor, he wants to do that. I'm fine with that, I guess.
Sharon and then give it to you.
Yeah, well,
It's about the
same
same
difference.
thing.
But I said for future reference, I wanted to be on that mailing list so that anything I receive, I can go ahead and pass on to you. So that was our last communication, and that was today. So he is planning to provide all of that, and I assume from what he said, he would be providing that to Sharon without delay. And then there would be an additional delay in terms of if he did run it through their counsel before sending it to me. So I'm gonna ask Sharon this afternoon, if she gets it, send it to me, and I'll forward it on via email. So that's our update with that. As of this moment, we did not set a specific date as I had intended to have them here. In lieu of that, getting all of this first. So that's where we are on that one. I have hard copies of that letter that I emailed to you. I had hoped, again, with that one, there are 3 different people with KDHE who have some involvement, or at least I understood have some involvement with the rural water district issue in terms of water quality and what can be done, what they can do, et cetera.
Anyone else see any problem with the letter?
I don't see a problem with it.
So we'll just go forward with that. I didn't put it on the letterhead yet, I just sent it out. And I sent a copy of the Word version of it to Ashley so it can be
Print it out so we can sign it today.
I still hope to give an additional update though, after talking with, let's see. Primary person is one of the specialists, Judy Dunn. I've worked with her before on different things, but there are 2 others that are assigned a lot of this kind of work. Nobody's at their desk. I get voicemails, so I leave messages and then get those return calls. I don't know if some people are still working from home or if that's been institutionalized or what, but
Probably.
there's different, if you look it up, it's under, with KDHE, it's under the Public Water Supply Division, that all of this is done. And everything in terms of the rural water districts is administered through them. They don't necessarily do specific orders. They do a lot of monitoring, and they will, in certain instances, if it gets bad enough, they can do things that amount to cease and desist and I think and that sort of thing as well. But that's a rarity because obviously then you don't have a water source of any kind.
Right.
But they're aware of it. Kathy Tucker Vogel is the section chief for that entire department. So that's why I addressed it to her and then invited her she wants these other people to be included in the thread, that we can go ahead and do that with them. So I intend to do a follow-up in addition to this. This was what you committed to having for the citizens that were here. But I'd like to go a little further with it, just to see what all the follow-up is gonna be from them, so you're aware and know what's going on.
Are you texting or writing letters?
This is a letter, but it's also being sent electronically in US mail. The rest of it has been by phone.
Well, over the last year, we found we could do better with Kansas by texting,
Yeah.
because they're hiding behind their phone.
The only
We'll
issue.
put a text back in 30 minutes.
Yeah, the only issue I had with these numbers is I didn't necessarily perceive these to be their cell phone.
Probably landlines.
These were landlines, cause I called them,
You know, you had to get the text number.
yeah, and so I have requested that. Judy is the one who's usually most responsive.
Mail takes 2 weeks,
Yeah.
no matter where you go.
That's why I did it electronically as well as by US mail, cause doing it by US mail, we'd be at this a month from now, so.
I think the letter was good, but, you know, since the commission's in charge of health, safety, and welfare, could we request remedies that they are pursuing?
And that's been the intent in terms of the phone conversations, is what other options do you have other than simply going to a court somewhere? I mean, you're the overarching agency in the state.
No, but I want the remedies from the rural water district.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to be documented. This is what they're looking at as
What they're doing.
Yeah, the whole purpose of the letter was for them to come and tell us something. So
It
whether
ain't
it's
gonna happen,
remedies.
so you're gonna have to request it.
I can go ahead and put another one together for that purpose as well, if you'd like.
I'd make a motion to do that. I'd like to see what possible remedies that the rural water district itself is looking at.
And I'm reasonably comfortable with that one going to the office. It's just over my signature, if you're okay with that. I can send it out before I send it, so you've seen it and staff has seen it. But that way, we're not waiting again until next week to get your signatures on it. Okay?
Motion to approve an electronic signature.
Oh, I'll make a motion to go ahead with that part
Electronic.
and the electronic.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. No executives today, so. Yeah, I know,
Why'd you even drive here?
to deliver this information.
Okay. All right, well, we got the executives, we got a few of them.
Yeah.
Quick question, when would you wanna hold your budget hearing? It needs to be before September 20th. So the September 15th is a Monday. Let me,
That's doable.
Yeah. Does that
September
work for-
15th.
September 15th?
Yep.
Okay. 12:30? Yeah, we do it at 12:30, right? Okay.
That's when you do it early.
So really the only thing that, I did go and look, we don't actually have to have the form filled out, like
Okay.
you don't have to sign the form and if you're not exceeding, you do not have to do a roll call vote, but you can if you want to. But just a vote, of the board to stay at the revenue neutral rate would be sufficient.
All right, make a motion to stay at the revenue neutral rate for 2026 budget year. Second by Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay.
Alright. Got a cheat sheet?
Yeah.
Otherwise I can dig out mine.
That's okay.
What are we waiting on?
go into that first or the 2 o'clock?
Oh,
I
can
mean,
do
I
either one.
was looking at, I was skipping over the 2 o'clock too, so.
well, if we could do this, it doesn't matter.
Are we waiting on somebody for the 2 o'clock?
No.
So let's go on to the policy discussion since jurisdictional collaboration for permit. Assume this has got stuff to do with improvement districts.
Yes. And, you know, to me, it's pretty straightforward. We got a letter last week by email from Mr. Wyatt from the Improvement District Board President at the lake asking that they be included in any permit applications and permit processing for the improvement, or in the, oh, there it is here, okay. And so, you know, in our planning and zoning regulations, we've got 2 articles, Article 6 and Article 7 for the East Shore Subdivision District and the Marion County Lake Lot Residential District. And in that it specifically says that all construction is subject to the approval under requirements of these regulations and the requirements of the Marion County Improvement District. So to me, that would indicate that we have an obligation to include, inform, and collaborate with the Marion County Improvement District through planning and zoning for anything that goes on within both those districts, so.
Thing is there a clear defined boundary like we would with a city? City would have a clear defined boundary to where they would have an input.
There is a,
Improvement district.
yes, improvement districts do have a clear defined boundary. However, their jurisdictional, what they are in charge of enforcing may vary from improvement district to improvement district. So like, if, for example, improvement district number 2, they are a water and sewer district, so they would have jurisdiction over those matters. They are not, they don't have building codes or standards for actual buildings, to my knowledge. So it would vary about what they would have jurisdiction over. So those are things that we can verify and just make sure everybody's on the same page.
Unless it was a water or sewer issue.
Right,
they would-
right.
they would be
And
on-
Brad may have something
And
more to
even
say.
with that, the overarching control is vested depending upon how it's set up, which we are, with planning and zoning. I mean, there's some element of, even when they're set up for water and sewer, that it's still subject to the overall approval and regulation of the countywide system.
And I think there's no problem with interacting and collaborating and all that. It's just that there's been kind of a change, I think, over time of how that communication was preferred, so.
And I'm just saying that we need to
Work with them
work with them
going forward.
Okay. Very proactively, not, I mean, when.
I would agree. I mean, I try to give the same respect for the cities and, you know, they run for those positions for thankless jobs. Give them some, you know, some thanks for taking on that load.
And all I'm saying is that we need to step up and maybe Some cases, maybe East Shore, maybe they don't wanna be involved, but we need to give them that
But
opportunity.
when they change people in those positions, we need to be notified that that's what they want. Because there's some of the places that they're just like,
Have those boards changed too.
So whenever they change, they need to do their due diligence
I agree,
to let us know that they wanna be a part again,
right,
because the last people wanted to step back.
and apparently Mr. Wyatt is asking the DB. And
And I think if they wanna be part of it, they should be part of it, but we gotta be able to know that.
but all it takes is a phone call to the, a courtesy copy of an application.
I would have them do a resolution. I know that they don't formalize so much, but they do have meetings and they are subject to certain of the other requirements in the state. If they just did a simple, this is what we want you to do going forward until further notice. Like
They
if they no
may.
longer,
They may have resolutions,
I don't
but we
know.
don't have
I'm
copies
just-
of them.
yeah. Because if the methodology has been use our maintenance person and because he's on scene, knows everything and is there 24 hours.
It also puts it into writing what their.
It just helps so that there's something in the file and the county staff is then, I don't disagree with the premise. It's just a matter of having some way to track it and know this is what you want. And we're gonna do it this way until you tell us something different.
They produce us another one. Says you don't. Yeah, I totally in agreement. We've got it in our rules. And unless they state otherwise, that they don't wanna be a part of it, they need to tell us that too. And it needs to be in writing.
So then do we need to get back with Mr. Wyatt, and then I would also at the same time get with whoever's in charge of
Gorsuch, Brad is an improvement district.
That's
East Shore.
East Shore and ask them both to provide us guidance on how they want to interact. And then moving forward, we do that.
Do you want me to contact them and have that interaction, or how would you like that?
It already serves on the planning and zoning board.
Oh, yeah, that Brad. Yeah. That's why I called him by his last name.
I mean, if his group is wanting, I'm sure he would have, let Sharon know.
Anybody opposed to Tina, just go ahead and make a contact with Greg and Brad. And laying out that we need.
Might be the simple.
For improvement district.
Right. I'm trying to think what the other ones are. Those are the big ones.
Pilsen and
Pilsen has an improvement district, but that's just sewer.
Yellow Pat and
2 and 3. Oh, we checkbook before. Or not the checkbook, check keepers. For 1 or 2 and 3. Anything else on that topic?
Just like to see us move forward and
I'm glad you brought that up. So it's there already, so we don't have to do
it's
anything.
there, we just need to do what we say we're gonna do. Or at least offer to do what we say we're gonna do.
Well, it's just easier to,
Well, what we can do,
it's easier to collaborate rather than fight all the time, so.
Yeah.
All right. Alright, we'll move on to which one's this, personnel?
And do you want the hiring one first? Or-
It doesn't matter,
Okay.
I'll do the personnel.
Okay.
Got it. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss job performance of specific employees pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item number 1, of personal matters and non-elected personnel with the board, Brad, Tina. 20 minutes until 2:25.
Yeah, at 15 would probably even be okay until 2:20.
Okay, we'll go
I think that's
15 minutes until 2:20. Open session. Come back in commission chambers following the closed session.
second,
Second by David. All those in favor? Aye. Out of executive session, no decisions made. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss hiring pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for item number 1 for personal matters of non-elected personnel with the board. Brad, Tina, 15 minutes until 2:35 with open session to resume back in commission chambers following the closed session.
Second.
Second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Out of executive session, no decisions made. Commission comments.
Keep praying for them people in Texas. That's still,
And had to shut down the search because it was getting rain again.
Yeah, they had another 4 inches yesterday or something.
maybe with the catastrophic of that, if they're only gonna lose 300 people, if they've got 100 and some missing and 100 and some dead, that's still maybe a miracle within itself.
Motion to adjourn. Second by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, Chair.